Captain Todd navigated the choppy waters off the coast of Somalia, unaware of the peril closing in. Suddenly, the calm was shattered by the unmistakable thud of grappling hooks hitting the ship's side. Pirates, armed and ready for plunder, swiftly boarded the vessel. Little did they know Captain Todd had a surprising ace up his sleeve. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming stories. But as the pirates advanced, their confidence began to waver when they realized the cargo they sought wasn't what it seemed. Todd had been fearing for this moment for a long time. He had been very aware that his trading route was going through somewhat dangerous territories. His superiors had always assured him not to worry and that attacks or other hijackings were a thing of the past. But Todd had never experienced this to be all that reassuring, and now he was finally proven right. He had weapons on board to defend himself, but the last thing he wanted to do was turn this into a firefight. He knew that the best plan was to just surrender, let these guys take the boat, and have his superiors deal with it afterward. But Todd could not be sure that these pirates were going to leave everybody alive in that case either, and he had a duty to protect his crew. Time was ticking away as the men were getting ever closer to the edge of his container ship. Todd had to think quickly now and make a decision. Suddenly, he felt a surge of confidence. A plan had come into his head, and he could not help but make him smile a bit. He quickly grabbed the microphone and shouted a message over the intercom of the ship. He demanded that every person of the crew come to the cafeteria below deck. He also informed them that pirates were coming on board. After that, he quickly turned off the ship and stopped from sailing further. It was at the mercy of the ocean now. He just hoped that he had been in time with his warning to the crew. He was horrified by the idea that any of them would encounter one of these pirates and get kidnapped or worse. But he was strengthened by the knowledge that the crew was mostly not working on deck at these hours. While all the crew members were following Captain Todd's orders and headed to the cafeteria, the pirates made their way on board the container ship. There was a group of 5 of them, armed with old AK-47s and dressed in simple clothing. They did not look all too organized, but by how they had managed to get to the boat undetected, you could conclude that they had done this before. But they had never been on a ship this big, not even close. They knew it was impossible to get this ship to their harbor and take everything from it. It was simply too big and too much. The pirates, under the leadership of Captain Jack, quickly came up with a plan. They wanted to try and get the most valuable items on this ship, small things that they could transport and sell for a lot of money. One member of the crew also came up with the idea to tell other pirates about their capture so that they could help. But that idea was quickly shut down by Jack. He was not about to share his hard work, and it was not like these other pirates were exactly trustworthy. He barely trusted his own crew. But to successfully pull this off, they needed to get their hands on some of the crew members. But it was very quiet around them. They did not even hear the motor of the boat anymore. They had heard that there was an announcement made, but they were busy climbing at this moment, and you could not even call their understanding of the English language decent. The pirates decided to split up into a pairing of 2 and 3 on their hunt for crew members. They were going to be quiet, as nobody would come towards them if they were calling and threatening to kill them otherwise. It seemed like a fine plan. But what the pirates did not know was that Captain Todd had been watching them ever since they got on the boat. Todd never left the control room, and as he had a perfect view of their movement from here, and he could not be happier when he saw that they were splitting up. Todd had radio to 2 of his second-in-commands to lock all the other crew members in the cafeteria and then come to the control room to meet him. The 2 pirates walking the deck of the ship were getting more and more unsure by the minute. Both of them were very, very new to this line of work and had never been on a ship anywhere close to this size before. In the ship's control room, Captain Todd and his second-in-command, a veteran sailor named Harris, swiftly sketched out a plan, their eyes darting over the ship's blueprint spread across the table. They decided to exploit the ship's intricate layout, setting up a trap in the cargo hold where faint clattering sounds, subtly amplified, could attract the unsuspecting pirates. In the dimly lit cargo hold, Todd's crew worked silently, stringing up cargo nets and installing hidden alarms, creating a non-lethal snare around a strategically chosen crate. The tension was palpable as each crew member understood their role in this high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Outside, the two nervous pirates, Ahmed and Yusuf, their AK-47s clutched tightly, crept towards the sound, mistaking the clattering for hidden crew members. Peering into the crate, their eyes widened in disbelief at the sight of shiny new smartphones, a stark contrast to the rustic weapons in their hands. Greed momentarily overcame their caution as they forgot their initial mission, mesmerized by the glistening gadgets that promised a fortune far beyond their wildest dreams. The lure of the smartphones proved too strong for Ahmed and Yusuf, who, in a state of near delirium, began stuffing their pockets with the devices, their minds clouded by visions of wealth. Each phone they grabbed, shimmering under the faint light, pulled them deeper into Todd's carefully orchestrated trap, their caution lost in a sea of greed. Perched in his hidden lookout, Captain Todd kept a watchful eye on the two pirates, his hand steady on the trap's control. He observed their every move with the precision of a chess master, calculating the perfect moment to strike. Engrossed in their plunder, the pirates failed to notice the subtle changes around them. With a swift and silent signal, Todd gave the go-ahead. In an instant, the doors to the crate slammed shut, the sound of locking bolts echoing through the hold. Ahmed and Yusuf, caught mid-celebration, were now prisoners within a cage of their own greed. Todd's trap had worked flawlessly, the first part of his plan executed with perfect precision. This success was a vital first victory, a crucial step in neutralizing the threat, yet they remained acutely aware that the most dangerous part of their ordeal still loomed ahead. Todd moved with purpose back to the control room, ensuring every possible communication device was jammed. Eyes fixed on the ship's surveillance monitors, Todd watched Captain Jack and his remaining crew like a hawk stalking its prey. His mind raced, analyzing their patterns, predicting their next move, preparing to counter it. Gathering his crew once more, Todd's tone was firm yet calm. He stressed the importance of their stealth, knowing well that their lives depended on the element of surprise. In the hushed confines of the control room, Todd reached for the radio, his voice low and steady as he contacted the Coast Guard. He relayed their dire situation with the calm of a seasoned captain. Todd detailed the scenario. Two pirates were captured, but the larger threat of Captain Jack and his armed crew was still at large on the ship. His report was methodical, highlighting the urgency of their need for assistance. With the message sent, a tense silence enveloped the control room. Todd and his crew waited, the weight of each passing second heavy in the air. Despite having reached out for help, Todd was acutely aware that the situation was far from resolved. He constantly surveyed the monitors, his mind racing with strategies, prepared to act at a moment's notice. The knowledge that Captain Jack could make a move at any time kept them all on a razor's edge. Finally, the radio buzzed to life with the Coast Guard's response. They acknowledged the precariousness of the situation and were devising an approach plan, aiming to board the ship with minimal escalation. Their words brought a glimmer of hope. Captain Jack, his brow furrowed in suspicion, led his remaining men through the ship's corridors with increased caution. The absence of Ahmed and Yusuf was alarming. Their silence on the radio was out of character, and Jack's instincts told him something was amiss. As they moved deeper into the ship, the eerie silence weighed heavily on them. The lack of response from their comrades was unsettling, creating a palpable tension that hung in the air. Captain Jack's grip tightened around his weapon, his senses heightened, aware that they were potentially walking into a trap. Room by room they searched, finding no sign of Ahmed or Yusuf. With each empty room, their alertness grew. It was as if their mates had vanished into thin air. Captain Jack's frustration mounted, his mind racing through possibilities. From his vantage point, Todd watched Captain Jack's every move, analyzing his tactics. He knew outsmarting Jack, a seasoned and cunning pirate, would require a careful blend of patience and ingenuity. Todd's mind worked overtime, piecing together a plan that would neutralize the threat without jeopardizing his crew. In a quiet corner of the control room, Todd briefed his crew. Todd outlined a strategy that required precision and timing, his crew listening intently, understanding the stakes were higher than ever. In the echoing quarters of the ship, Captain Jack's frustration boiled over into aggression. He fired his AK-47 into the steel ceiling, the loud bangs reverberating throughout the vessel. His actions were driven by a mix of anger and desperation. Captain Jack, frustrated by the lack of progress in finding his crew in the ship's cargo, resorted to intimidation. He and his remaining pirates fired their weapons into the air, hoping the noise would flush out any hiding crew members. The sharp cracks of gunfire echoed through the ship, a clear message of fear, though it only served to reveal their own positions. Meanwhile, Todd remained calm and focused in the control room, watching every move on the surveillance monitors. He knew that maintaining composure was key to outmaneuvering Captain Jack. Determined to end the standoff, Todd decided to confront Captain Jack alone. Armed with non-lethal weapons, he approached Jack's last known location. Todd's strategy was to outsmart, not engage in a direct fight. His steps were measured and silent, every movement calculated. Todd eventually came face to face with Captain Jack and his men. Despite being held at gunpoint, Todd remained calm and offered to lead them to the ship's most valuable cargo. Jack, torn between suspicion and greed, agreed to follow Todd, keeping his weapon trained on him. Todd led the pirates through the ship's maze of containers, deliberately guiding them into a trap. He brought them to a crate filled with glittering jewelry, diverting their attention. As two pirates eagerly began filling their bags, Jack's focus was drawn to another crate marked with high-value electronics. Seizing the opportunity, Todd pushed Jack into a concealed hole in the deck where his crew was waiting to overpower him. With Jack neutralized, Todd's crew quickly emerged from their hiding spots and subdued the remaining pirates. The well-coordinated team moved with precision, securing the ship and bringing the confrontation to an end. As the Coast Guard cutter approached on the horizon, the crew felt a collective sense of relief. Todd prepared to transfer control to the Coast Guard, who boarded the ship and took the captured pirates into custody, including a dazed Captain Jack. The Coast Guard officers debriefed Todd and his crew, commending them for their resourcefulness and bravery in averting a potential disaster. Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another video.